Let's get into today's episode of Why We Succeed.
Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your man, Immanuel. We are back for another episode of Why We Succeed. Today, I have a very, very special guest, none other than my man, Jay Jackson. What's going on with you, bro?
I'm doing good, Jay. Like, look, the moment we met out on EA, we knew right then and there it's going to be something great because
yes, man. Yo, and it was such a blessing too, man. Just to give everybody else some background, we met years ago at a Blogalicious conference, and oh man, it was my first conference. Like I know you probably have made your rounds a while, but it was my first conference. And meeting you and so many other amazing people, just it really made it a memorable experience. I've had the opportunity to keep in contact with you and a handful of other people. But man, like Jay, you gave me a copy of your book. Like you just really welcomed me with open arms, and I never forgot that. And just to still be connected today in 2022 is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, man, I'm grateful that I can do anything to support you at that present moment in time. Yeah, it was a great experience that I think we both enjoyed a lot and took a lot away from. So yeah, excited that we're still connected, man, and looking forward to the future, no doubt.
Yes, man. And I know we've had the opportunity over time to, talk a little bit here and there about different things, but I've never really gotten into your story and your journey as an entrepreneur. So I'm definitely excited to do that today. But there's one question that I always like to kick our shows off with is asking the guests this question. How do you define success? What's success to my man, Jay Jackson?
For me, brother, to be honest, like success is relative, right? To whoever it is that you're talking to. For some people, living a certain lifestyle is successful. To some people, completing a college degree or even buying their first home is successful. So whatever you're passionate about or whatever goal you set for yourself, and then you're willing to put a plan together, execute, and make progress towards that, that's, for me, I believe that's success.
Okay. So has that always been your measure of success, or were there any points in your life where you had to kind of shift and change the way you perceived it?
Yeah, I had to definitely make a shift, right? Because I think we're conditioned to believe that, success is, oh, you're on television. Success is you're a professional athlete or you're a professional musician, right? And so because we're conditioned to believe that, for some time, I actually believed that until you finally say, okay, what profession or career am I myself going to become involved in and going to commit myself to? And I think after you've been on that journey for some time, you start to realize, okay, success is how I define it, not what the world decides for me. And as long as I believe I'm growing and making progress towards what it is I'm trying to achieve, I define my success.
I love that. And one of the things that I learned about you early on when we had met is the fact that you've been in the military. And I would love for you to just take a moment to kind of share that story. How'd you go from the Air Force and then transition into entrepreneurship full time? What did that look like?
All right, so that wasn't my choice, by the way. So
I know that. I know that much.
So I did 15 years in the Air Force, loved everything about my time in the Air Force, got an opportunity to travel the globe and see some countries and places that I never imagined I would even have the opportunity to visit. So I'm grateful for everything about the military. I wouldn't be the man that I am today without my experience there. So let me make sure I'm super, super clear on that. But the transition out of the military wasn't my choice. Like I would still be in rocking and rolling right now. My mentors and peers were all telling me, hey, look, you're going to go to the top in the military if you just stay on course with what it is that you're doing. And I didn't stay on course. That's at the end of the day, that's what happened. Sometimes, you're challenged or you're presented with an opportunity and you got to make some choices. And some of the choices that I made, it put me in a position to where when the, Department of Defense got ready to do a downsizing after the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, they did what they basically call, cut the fat, trim the fat. And so I was one of those people, and a couple 100,000 of us were in the group, but I was one of those people that had to find my next opportunity. And so when I transitioned out, the only thing I wanted to do was entrepreneurship, because I knew that was the only thing that gave me freedom to decide, where I'm going to live, where I'm going to work, who I'm going to work with, how much money I can make. And so, and I didn't want to give anybody that much power and control over my life again. That was just super painful for me. But I had always, growing up as a kid, I hustled, right? Cut grass, wash cars. And I'd be honest with you, if I saw it and I wanted it, I went and got it. That's just
I hear that.
right. And so, I started my first legal business in 2006. It was a lawn care business. I did a lot of landscaping for residential properties and was actually doing better than my military check. So I was already
Oh.
starting to check out of the military like well before this even happened. Because I always knew that the military was not going to be the end all be all. So I
Mhm.
always said, hey, I want to make sure I can build something to where once I'm out of the military, my life is great because I
Yeah.
saw so many people doing the standard thing of life where you
Mhm.
go to work, you could take a, couple weeks vacation throughout the year.
Right.
You work until you're, a senior citizen, you retire, and then now you don't have your physical body won't even let you go and retire and enjoy life. And you ain't got enough money to do it either.
Right.
But when I transitioned out, man, all I had literally, I had like 11 grand to my name. I had a mortgage. I was a full-time single father. I had all the responsibilities like car payment, life insurance that everybody else has. And I went all in and I haven't looked back. Don't get me wrong. There have been
Mhm.
some days and some nights where I have questioned, have I lost my mind? Um, but it's part of the journey, part of the process. And I'm super grateful for everything that has happened in the past and where things are right now.
Oh man, I love hearing about your story because it's so inspiring. And the one thing that comes to my mind is you mentioned about going all in, and I think that that's the term that we hear a lot. And I'm curious for you, how do you know when you're all in? We're going to get into it a little bit with you being a serial entrepreneur, and I'm sure that there's been some projects that you started and didn't necessarily go all the way with. So how do you determine when you're all in?
Tony Robbins has this quote, and I'm not sure where he got it from, but I'll use it because I think it simplifies and helps people really understand. And you'll know that you're all in when you're willing to burn your boats when you arrive at the island.
Mm,
And that just basically means that, you've made a decision that, hey, I'm going to go over to this island and I'm either going to die or I'm going to take the island. And that
mhm,
means there's no retreat. The boats are burned. We can't go back. And so I think when you're able to make some decisions that are based on logic, reason and not emotions, like literally we had a conversation family wise, we had a conversation the other day about what it really means to be heartless. And I
mm,
know oftentimes we think, we hear the word heartless and you're thinking
mhm,
mean and cruel and nasty and ugly. And honestly, it's not. It just truly means my heart isn't in this decision
mm,
that I'm making right now. I'm not utilizing emotions to make the decision that I'm making. I'm using data, I'm using facts, and I'm using information. And when people who are making decisions with their emotions come across a person who's making their decisions with facts and data, you're always going to run into a conflict. And so
yeah.
a lot of those conflicts are in like your personal relationships and sometimes professional relationships. And
Mhm,
so to keep with, my answer to your question of, how do you know when you're all in? Uh,
mhm,
when you're willing to create boundaries that protect, what it is that you're trying to accomplish, to
mhm.
include, the unfortunate sacrifice of some relationships that are important to you. You have to make those tough decisions. So when you have the courage to make those decisions, that's when you'll know you're all in.
Oh man, I like that. I like that. Yeah. And it can be a challenge for some people to go all in, right? I think we live in a society where we adjust to our comfort zones, and some people allow themselves to get stuck there. And then you have other people that are just afraid of the unknown. And I'm speaking from experience, right? So I say other people, but like to a certain extent, that's me, And I've really had to work at being somebody that steps out of my comfort zone, being somebody that is willing to, as you mentioned, kind of burn the boats and just thrive or die here on the island. And
Right.
making those decisions can be tough. And it reminds me of another young lady that I met at that Blogalicious conference. She was actually a speaker there, and I connect with her afterwards. And one of the things that she said during her speech that has always stuck with me is that she said she chooses every day to do something that makes her uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I'll be honest, Jay, like even to this day, I'm not there yet. But I look at that and I'm like, yo, that's somewhere that I want one day want to be, is where I'm so comfortable with being uncomfortable that I can seek those experiences out on a daily basis. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're so first and foremost, you, me, and everybody who is listening to this will, if you're not currently experiencing it, you have experienced it. So you're not alone in that feeling. I think the biggest thing, at least for me, is of course our life experiences are
Mhm.
major influences on our ability to live in whatever comfort zone, discomfort zone we want to call it.
Right.
Like for example, when we first moved to Tampa, we had never been to Tampa, never seen it, never smelt it, never
Wow.
touched ground.
Wow.
So, but you got to think, my wife and I were both in the military. And so we are accustomed to moving to new cities. And in some cases, in both our cases, we've moved to new countries and didn't know anyone. And so I use that example just to say, look at your life experiences, look at things that you've been through on your journey, and allow your past to give you the courage to know and believe what you can do in the future. Right. And so
That's good.
oftentimes we don't realize that, hey, you have been through. I know I have, and I'm not a perfect person by any stretch.
Me neither.
I have been through a lot of things in my life where I've created, trouble for myself, right? Or created circumstances that weren't favorable for, peace and joy and abundance. And in those moments, there were some skills, right, that presented themselves or developed, and I had to go, man, I don't know how I'm going to get myself out of this, but I'm going to get myself out of this. And so I believe if you approach your dreams, if you approach your business, if you approach the opportunities that you want to seek, if you approach the growth that you have to go through to become the person who can achieve what you want to achieve, if you approach it with the mentality of, I've been through some stuff in the past, and every single time it always works out.
Right.
Unless you died, and if you're listening to us right now and you're dead, I don't know how you're pulling that off.
Right.
Right? You made it through whatever it is that you've been through, and you became stronger, wiser, and better as a result of it. So don't run from the discomfort. Run into the discomfort, head down, full, all energy you got, and run over anything that gets in your way from achieving what you want to achieve.
Oh man, that is so good. Like, you just dropped so many golden nuggets on us right there, Jay. And one of the things that about your experience that stands out, and I think I want to touch on this just for the people out there watching, is you mentioned that you were a single father. You were transitioning from the military, and you made the decision to not go work for anybody else, but to become an entrepreneur. Now, I know most single parents out there are like, I couldn't do that. Like they're like, yo, I need the security of a job. So what would you say to those single parents out there who are allowing, I guess, that limiting belief to keep them from starting their first business? What would you say to them?
Yeah, well, let me say, I'm not going to even pretend to come into anybody's house and give advice, because I don't know all of the details around why they are or aren't making a decision.
Right.
However, I will say this: whatever you want for your children, your grandchildren, or even your great grandchildren, they need you to break through whatever beliefs you might have. Failure doesn't exist. And I know this is counter to what we've always heard. Like you make a mistake, oh, you're wrong. Oh, you touch the stove, oh, that's hot, don't do that. Or when you're growing up, you hear, no, don't do that, slow down, get down, you're going to hurt yourself. And all of those statements that you've heard since conception have created limiting beliefs around what's possible for you. And so my advice would be, if you're afraid, whatever it is you're afraid to do is the exact thing you need to do. When I say failure is not an option, I truly, I mean it. You're going to make mistakes. And I think people confuse a mistake with failure. Those are two totally different things. A mistake means I made a choice or a decision and it didn't work out. I just made a mistake. That didn't work. Failure means I didn't achieve what I ever set out to achieve. So as long as you're making progress towards what you're going to achieve, you're going to make mistakes along the way. Right. But I promise you, I guarantee you this. I don't know if the listeners who are, and I'm not trying to convert anybody into a believer of any specific religion, but if you do open a Bible ever in your life, I promise you, inside of that book somewhere multiple times, it tells you the promise is guaranteed. Guaranteed. You are guaranteed to get what you want. Now, it might take you 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years to ultimately get there, because life circumstances will influence what you can and can't do. But
Right.
if you believe that you will ultimately get there, I promise you, your results will show.
Oh man, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's all about not giving in. Like if it's something that you want to achieve, to your point, just keep at it. Don't definitely don't label yourself a failure. I think, and definitely don't. I would even say, the power, of death and life is or death and life is in the power of the tongue. So, don't speak over yourself that you are a failure, right? So I think that if a person can remember those things and keep pushing forward, then you'll get to that place. And like you mentioned, regardless of what their home situation may be, they'll be able to, eventually start that business and do it at the right time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Like there's the thing about it is it's lessons learned. Like even I'll even go back and say,
Mm,
you didn't make mistakes, you just paid tuition, right? Whether
mm,
it was a financial lesson learned, time lesson learned, whatever it was, you paid tuition, you learned a lesson. Now take that lesson, apply what you learned, and keep pressing forward. I think the most genius thing I ever heard, probably in this sense, came from Jay-Z, who literally, him and Dame Dash, literally, even though they got their issues,
mhm,
they both still to this day utilize this quote, and that is, the genius thing that we ever did was we never gave up.
mm.
Think, and you just think about it, like they just never, they said, no, we're going to continue to move forward. And in moving forward, now you see the results that you ultimately wanted.
Right. So going back to limiting beliefs in your experience in your life, did you have any limiting beliefs or any challenges that you had to overcome? And that face says yes, definitely. So I'm curious to know, like, what are some of them?
Well, let's maybe let me say this first. Did I have or do I have?
Ah,
All
good.
right. And so
Okay.
here's the thing: limiting beliefs never go away.
Mm,
You will never, because there's always more. There's always something bigger that you can accomplish and achieve. There's
mm,
always something you've never done before.
right.
So when you first attempt to do something, there is always going to be the one question: can I do this? Right?
Right.
Even if you say, can I do this? And a millisecond later, oh yeah, I can do this. You at least had to think about whether or not you can do it. Right then and there, that thought is a limiting belief.
Right.
You should never have to question whether or not you can do something, right?
Mhm,
And so, to answer your question, absolutely. A lot of them being some of the things that I just mentioned.
mhm.
Am I good enough? Do I have the skills? Am I talented enough? Am I smart enough? It's Is my head shaved and clean enough? There's just so many things that we have going on inside of our mind that we
Right.
allow to, paralyze us, create fear, and it drives procrastination, to another level, to
Mhm,
where we get stuck in ruts, and then we just stay stagnant because those limiting beliefs around all of the gunky stuff. And that's why it's so important for who we have conversations with. The eye gates, ear gates, all of that stuff is truly, truly real. And I think if you control your fortress, right, you
mhm.
control your fortress, you'll put yourself in a position to where the limiting beliefs can be overcome. And whenever you do face a new opportunity, because that's what it is, it's just an opportunity to grow.
Right.
When you face those new opportunities, if you've got the right people around you, in that split second where you go, hey, can I really do this? If you say it out loud, somebody around you should smack you and say, yeah, you can do this. Come on, let's go. What do we need to do to get it done? And if no one is around you and you do think it, smack yourself, because you can do it. What do we need to do? Let's get it done.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's the beauty of having community, right? Is having those people who aren't just there to be like the yes man or the yes woman to just tell you what you want to hear or to appease you, but are willing to, give you that gut check when you need it. And that's so, so important. Now, I want to talk about how you were able to make the transition from being a successful entrepreneur to then becoming a serial entrepreneur. Like, what did that look like? Tell us the story behind that.
Um, some failures, right? Lessons learned, like mistakes, all of it, right? Like
Yeah.
the thing about it is anyone who makes you think and believe, or tries to make you think and believe, that every project is a successful project or every
Mhm.
project hits, they're fooling themselves and they're lying to you. And so the biggest thing is you just have to say to yourself, okay, one, how do I ensure that I make the amount of income that I want to make that supports whatever lifestyle I want to live.
Right.
And for everybody, that's different. So for me, when I first got out of the military at the time with benefits and everything, I was probably 75, 80K a year in terms of income. And based on where I'm from and the community that I lived in at that time, that was pretty decent change, right? Like all my bills got paid every month. I even had a little cash left over to where we can take trips whenever we wanted to, or, just a different life.
Right.
And when I got out of the military and I went to my very first conference as a civilian, I went to Steve Harvey's Act Like a Success conference up in the DC, Maryland area in the DMV.
Okay.
And I was sitting there listening to, the speakers go across the stage. And one of them was Lisa Nichols. And Lisa Nichols was talking about how, she had 11 streams of income. And as I'm sitting there, I'm literally like, okay, hold up, wait. Like, I get that you're a super millionaire. I get that you're super successful, but there's only 24 hours in a day and you are only one human being. And so I need somebody to explain to me, how are you managing to pull off these 11, income streams?
Yes.
At the time, I didn't understand passive income. I didn't understand, residual income. I didn't understand a lot of income, different types of income streams. But over the years, I have sat back, I've studied, you do joint ventures or collaborations with people to where they might do the majority of the work, but yet your component of it is still worth you getting some income from that particular stream. Of course, you want to be able to set up, income to where you can make money, while you're sleeping. And so it just requires a shift in your thinking in regards to, where do I want my life to be? And I tell people sometimes just keep it small. Like where do you want to see yourself in 6 months?
Right.
And I know sometimes we say, okay, this is where I want to be. I want to have all of these things, a nice house, the car, the boat, and all of those things, not realizing like that type of stuff, depending on where you are, it might take you 15, 20 years to get to that. And that might overwhelm people and they become frustrated because they don't want to work for 15 or 20 years to get what they want.
Something went with it.
Yeah. So you stop. And so I say, break it down and just say, where do you want to be in 6 months?
Okay.
Right. If you have a current, product that's bringing you consistent income in, say to yourself, okay, how can I ensure that income comes in from this particular product without me having to be involved in the entire process?
Right.
And then once you've got that income stream doing just that, you always going to, because if you're an entrepreneur, you got multiple ideas, multiple projects, you hear multiple problems and you're thinking, how can I solve that? Because I want to make more money. It just is what it is. And if you are an entrepreneur or business owner and you're not trying to make more money, you might not like me after I say this, because I'm going to tell you, you're not a real entrepreneur or business owner, because entrepreneurs and business owners are in business for one reason and one reason only. That's to make money.
That's
period.
right.
Right. And so once you've got one going, you say, all right, I'm going to start this next one. And people that you talk to every single day, they'll tell you, like, you can start an income stream in less than 24 hours. You just have to listen to what people are complaining about. And if you are the kind of person who can listen and recognize a problem and you go, I myself might not have to dig that ditch or jump over in that hole, but I know somebody who will gladly dig that ditch or jump over in that hole. I can pay them, you pay me, I get my cut, you got your problem solved, this man or woman got paid, I got paid. It sounds like a triple win to me. Right then and there, that's business and entrepreneurship. So starting an income stream is super easy. You just got to make that switch, believe you can do it, and put the things in place to make it happen.
Nice. So I know you had mentioned before that you started the lawn company. How long were you operating that business?
I did that one almost 3 years until I started going through a divorce. And the business was suffering, of course, my marriage and everything was suffering. And even my career or job in the military was suffering. And when you're going through some things like that, everything is going to suffer because you don't have the balance and the consistency that you need to show up the way you need to in each environment. So when that started happening, my lawyer, literally, she was like, hey, look, you got to give something up, because you can't fight for your marriage and try to save, your career. but you're
Mhm.
still trying to, do this business. So you got to give something up. And so gave it up. At the time, I didn't understand, systems, processes, and team. If I did, I would have made sure I had systems, processes, and a team, and then
Mhm.
that business would have been, again, like I'm just talking to you now, where
Yes.
it's a true business making money, and I don't have to be involved. So I had to shut that one down, and that's why.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what was the first business that you feel was a success, that you had the systems in place, you had the people in place, the personnel, and you are still even reaping the benefits from it today?
Yeah, I would say, well, it started out just as my speaking business. Like, so when I
Okay.
transitioned out of the military, like I told you, I only had 11 grand, so I didn't have a whole lot of, capital to go out and do a whole lot of nothing. All I had was J, right? Like my skills, my education, training, and experience. And so
Mhm.
that business has basically evolved into my
Okay.
primary company. So it started out as speaking, training, coaching, being an author and things of that nature. And then couple years, after I started going to. Matter of fact, I don't know if you've ever been to any of their events, but Traffic Sales and Profits up in the Atlanta area. Start going to a couple of
Oh,
their
nice.
events, and when I started going to their events, they started talking about that same thing, those systems and
Mhm.
those processes and team. And so right then
Okay.
and there, I was like, there's no way, one guy, right? Because
Mhm.
everything was like Mr. J Jackson brand, so it was all a
Right.
personal brand.
Right.
And at that time is when I learned, like, hey, you as an individual, you won't be able to build a company just off of
Mm.
that name, right? And so
Mhm.
you got to put some infrastructure in place. And so I started sitting back thinking, like, okay, what would the company name be? What would we represent? What would be our mission, vision, values? And that's where my current company, Serve, Impact, and Prosper,
Mhm.
comes into play. And so that company, we've got there's 6 of us total. We had 7 up until yesterday. One young lady
Mm.
just got an opportunity to go work at the governor's office, so
Oh,
she
wow.
springboarded from our company up to the governor's office. So we're grateful for that. But there's 6 of us total right now. I've got 3 sales development reps, a
Mhm.
content marketing manager. My wife Bianca is our director of operations, of course, me being CEO of the company. And so that's our main thing. We've got a mission to serve 1 billion leaders.
I
And
love that.
don't know if we'll reach that number in my lifetime or
Right.
not. That's why we're putting that infrastructure in place and team in place to
Mhm.
be able to sustain it once I'm gone.
Yeah, legacy, right?
Yeah, that's
Legacy.
right.
So important.
Wow.
So important, man. So I love it, man. Just hearing and witnessing your success and your progression over time is truly inspiring, man. And I would love to kind of get into what advice you would give to people out there who have a desire, but they're just kind of sitting on the fence. They want to start that business, but they're just not doing it yet. What would you say to them?
You only get one ride down here, right? Like you and your time, you don't know exactly when that clock is going to expire. Like I said, I don't know if we'll achieve what I'm trying to achieve in this lifetime, but you got to take action now.
Mhm.
The longer you wait, the longer it's going to take for you to ultimately build what you want to build. If you're not thinking legacy, I challenge you to think legacy. Think about the impact that you want to make. Think about your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, right? Do it for them. If you don't do it for yourself, I oftentimes the fear or limiting beliefs are what keep us on the fence. Break through those. Just do them. They're mental handcuffs. I promise you. And when your family and friends start calling you crazy and telling you need to stop doing this and you need to start doing that, you just take a moment and say, okay, hey, I love you, but I've taken a look at the results that you're getting in your life, and I've chosen that I don't want that, for my future. And if I'm crazy and you're normal and you're sane, then I'm going to take crazy and keep it moving.
Yo, I love Yo, that's a beautiful way to put it, man. Beautiful way to put it. And there's something that I've heard you talking about, which is the art and the science behind marketing and selling. And we know that those are two heavy hitters in business. Can you kind of explain to us a little bit, what is the art? What is the science when it comes to marketing and selling?
Yeah. So both of them have an art and both of them have a science to them.
Mm,
So we'll talk about marketing first and then we'll
okay.
go into selling. The art of marketing is just that, the creativity. right? Your who you are, how unique you are, what you stand for, what you represent, the painting that you're putting on the canvas, right?
Mhm.
So that's the art. That's truly it. The personality that you present, the whatever it is that you're creating, right? That's the
Mhm.
art of marketing. So you
Okay.
want to make sure that and from a marketing standpoint, we don't we overcomplicate it because we think that it has to be fancy, not realizing that whatever it is that you are doing on a day-to-day basis, or whatever it is that you're passionate about,
Mhm.
whatever it is that you want to talk about, that's you creating, right? You're publishing content. This show right now is marketing art. All right. It's
Mm.
also selling art, right?
Right.
Like, if you pay attention, listen to the language that I'm using in my responses. Most importantly, listen to the questions that Jay is asking, because it's his creativity, right? His mind is creating the art and saying, this is the type of content that I want to produce and
Mhm.
create in the world. That's all marketing is. So whatever it is that you're doing every single day, talk about that, right?
Right.
If it's cryptocurrency, talk about it. If it is building an e-commerce business, talk about that. If it is getting new clients, talk about that. And I promise you, those people who are interested in cryptocurrency, e-commerce businesses, or getting new clients will
Mhm.
start paying attention to you
Right.
and your marketing, and you don't even realize it's just I'm talking about the stuff that I want to talk about.
Mhm.
The art of marketing, and really I'll wait on sales. I'll stick with the
Okay.
science of marketing.
Okay.
The science of marketing is all of the psychology that goes
Mhm.
behind it, right? And
Okay.
so you've heard me use specific language throughout today's, conversation that Jay and I are having, or Jay, you and I are having, and a lot of that is the science. That's me using specific words for the audience to trigger their emotions, uh,
Mm.
to talk about their pains.
Mhm.
Notice even your questions around limiting beliefs, right?
Mhm.
The responses that I was giving, I was using psychological phrases to help trigger some emotions inside of people to take action. Uh,
Mm.
that's all the marketing psychology is. That's the science behind it, is understanding, what are the goals, the values, the deep desires of
Mhm.
your potential clients.
Mhm.
When you can get clear on what those psychological triggers are,
Mhm.
that's when you've mastered the science of marketing. So
Wow.
the art of it is just creating. But
Right.
in your creating, if you're
Mhm.
utilizing the psychology and the language from a psychological scientific standpoint, you've now connected the art and science of marketing to attract those people that you want to attract to you. So that's marketing.
Wow, I like that.
Sales, on the other hand, is totally different. And I know a lot
Mm.
of times I've even come across business owners who have been around for 30 years, and they'll ask the question, well, what's the difference between marketing and selling?
Mm.
Huge difference. So marketing is communication and education. You're educating your ideal clients or customers on, the benefits that they're going to receive as a result of utilizing your product or your service. Selling, on the other hand, here's the art of selling.
Mm.
The art of selling is creating emotions, or creating an environment where that person feels safe, right? So,
Mm.
as a sales professional, you have one responsibility and one responsibility only. That is to provide this particular company or individual who has a problem with a solution for that problem. Your ability to ask intelligent questions is the art.
Mm.
So you have to be able to intelligently and creatively ask questions that allow you to get the information that you need so that you can be clear on the pain that that particular organization or person is currently experiencing. The science of sales is the process that you go through notice science is just a process where they
Mhm.
test and test and test until they know I'm going to get this outcome if I follow this process every single time.
Right.
And that's the science of sales. You have to have a system in place that you can duplicate and follow every single time. Now, that does not mean that 100% of the people that you're going to have a conversation with are going to become your client.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can increase your success rate if you scientifically follow a step by step
Mm-hmm.
process every single time. And what screws us, and I've even made the mistake as well, is we lack discipline to follow that process every single time because it does. It becomes boring and it becomes mundane.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll give you some examples to counter your excuse around why you don't want to do marketing and sales. Um, the greats, regardless of the profession. If you look at Serena Williams in tennis, if you look at Denzel Washington in acting, if you look at Kobe Bryant in basketball, God rest his soul, the late great Kobe. It's the Mamba mentality of no matter how difficult it might be, no matter how boring it becomes, no matter how mundane this thing is, I'm going to pound away at my craft every single day until the lumpy mold of clay that I am becomes chiseled away and I'm a masterpiece.
Right.
That's the biggest thing I believe that keeps a lot of us from making progress and ultimately getting the results that we want is because it becomes boring and then something else comes along and gets your attention.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes mundane and then all of a sudden your friends say, hey, we should go out and do this tonight. It becomes repetitive and then someone comes along and says, you still haven't got it done yet, and you let them get your attention. Stay with the science of just every day, lay a brick, lay a brick, lay a brick. On some days, lay 10 bricks. If it's a Saturday and nothing else is going on, you lay 30 bricks, right? And before you know it, you'll look back and you go, damn, I built a whole wall or a whole house or a whole whatever it is that you're trying to build.
I love that. Oh man. So before I transition to where I want to go next, I'm curious, right? Sales, marketing, there's so many books, so many resources out there that can help people with the art and the science. I just want to know in your personal library, I see the bookshelf behind you. If
Yeah.
we're talking about marketing, what's your number one marketing book that you feel like, yo, if you want to get it advertised, okay, okay. I haven't read that one yet. I've seen it, but I haven't read it. So I'm add that to my book list.
Yeah,
And
it never leaves the desk.
I love it. So is that the marketing one or is that the sales one?
That's the marketing book that I would
Okay.
recommend.
What would you recommend for sales?
Uh, Probably, yeah. This one never leaves my desk either. And so this one's called Coaching
Oh
Salespeople
wow.
to Sales Champions.
Never seen that one.
It is a book for sales leaders, managers, and executives who lead a sales team.
Okay.
However, the way he has structured the book is basically a coaching program that allows you as a sales professional to become better at sales because he gives you
Mm.
questions, he gives you strategies on how to overcome objections. He even gives you some of the things I just shared about creating that system and that process so that you can stay disciplined. So that would be the one that I would recommend for sales.
Thank you, man. Like, cause yo, you came in a clutch because those are two books. I've seen the cash advertising book before, but haven't read it. And I wasn't even aware of the second one. So I appreciate that. I'm already gleaning from everything that you're sharing today, and may the audience do the same when this is released. And the next thing that I want to talk about, because you mentioned it earlier, the whole point of being an entrepreneur or a business owner is to make money, increase your profit. So what are some strategies that you think people can implement that will be able to do just that?
Well, I guess it really depends on, what your business is and what your
Mhm.
industry is, right? If you
Okay.
have a product-based business, try
Mhm.
to figure out, what additional add-ons or additional
Mhm.
products can go that support that
Okay.
main product, because you can always upsell them, downsell them, or cross-sell them.
Mhm.
Especially when people feel like, hey, I'm going to get a huge discount. Like I buy
Right.
item A, but this item is complimentary. And you see it on Amazon all the time where they say, people who bought this item also like this item.
Right.
So if you have a product that, based business, that's something that you can do. If you have a service, then you can
Mhm.
always add on something in addition. So, for example, if you have an agency, right, and
Mhm.
you're running an agency model, your primary offering could be a group coaching program.
Okay.
Within that group coaching program, you can have some add-ons.
Mhm.
So, what are some of the additional services that your clients will need? So, for example, they might need a landing page design or
Right.
a logo designed or some type of electronic media, material
Mhm.
designed for them. You can add on these additional what we call like modalities or services, and
Mhm.
then that way you are constantly bringing in revenue even outside of the main coaching services that you provide to people. And you can source that work out, right? There are people all
Right.
over the globe who will gladly do that work. And again, you're just solving a problem. You're
Mhm.
making sure someone does the work. And that's what a
Mhm.
business owner does. He solves problems by other people get doing the work. That person's problem is solved. That person got paid. I got paid. We're winning.
Right.
And so that's one strategy that I would drop in terms of a service-based business.
Mhm.
There are so many different things, right? A
Mhm.
strategic thing that you can do is just do some joint ventures or even
Mm.
collaborate with some people who they do something great that your company isn't necessarily great at.
Mhm.
You do something vice versa that they're not necessarily great at. But you come together and you say, hey, look, there's no overlap in what we do. We can only support each other in this. That's winning, right? That's strategic,
Right.
business acumen. Um, and I would even say the one that we're even thinking about right now is
Mhm.
um, what Goliaths do we want to take on?
Mm.
Right? Like, what
Mm.
giants do you see in your industry that you want to start throwing, stones at them? Not
Mm.
literally,
Right.
but who do you want to start throwing stones at because you believe that you can take down, Goliath? And
Mhm.
of course, they might not give you the attention that you want, but at least you're on their radar, and some people who are paying them some attention are going to start paying you some attention.
Right.
And so don't run from the negativity, be
Mhm.
prolific, stand out, be unique and different, because those are the people who get the lights and the cameras on.
Yeah. And seeing as you run and operate a coaching and a training business, let's speak specifically to all of our aspiring coaches out there, right? They're new. They're brand new to it. They want to get into it. They're like, okay, I've identified this skill that I have. There's something that I know that I can coach people through a process. I have a system in place and I'm ready to implement it. What would you advise a new coach to do when launching or starting their business?
Well, there are a lot of things, but what
Let me be more specific. What is a mistake, being very specific, right, that you made along your journey as a coach that looking back, you're saying, hey, you can learn from this by, not doing what I did, but doing this instead?
Yeah, waiting on people to believe in you.
Mm,
That would be the biggest piece of advice, because you got to think, every coach is starting their coaching business from a place of personal pain.
mm,
They're not starting it because someone else went through something. They're starting it because I went through this myself personally. I understand the frustrations of trying to solve this problem for myself. And so I've now solved it for myself, and I want to help other people avoid going through the same things that I've been through.
right.
That's why every coach starts his or her coaching business.
Okay.
So understanding that means you have experience and insights and you're passionate
Mhm,
about your experiences and the insights that you've gained since going through that process of personal transformation. Because every coach has to go through that personal transformation. Otherwise, you can't help anyone else. And so I would say, you're passionate about it. You've created some form of mission, right? Whatever
mhm,
your goals are, that's your mission. That's what you've set out to do. And you're a leader. And so because you are a leader, people are going to look at you as if you're a heretic and you're crazy and you've lost your mind. And you're going to spend some time, if you're anything like me, you're going to spend some time trying to influence and convince those that you love, family and friends, to believe in you and come
mhm.
join you and take up the mantle or the cross, whatever we want to call it, and come ride with me.
Right.
They're not going to. And so the mistake that I've made and lesson that I've learned And here's my insights on that. Don't
Mhm.
wait for no damn body.
Mhm.
Wait on no one.
Yeah.
The experiences that you've been through, there's a reason that you've been through them. Of course, I understand you might not like that you're going through it, but there's a reason you're going through it. And whatever you're experiencing, it is designed to chisel away so that your brilliance can ultimately shine bright. Like my
Mhm.
girl Rihanna say, like a diamond, right? And
Yeah.
so, understanding that, trust your source, right? However you believe, wherever you believe God hangs out at. Like me personally, I believe God hangs out in me. Like
Mhm.
he is in me and we ride and he is my co-pilot. And when I get sleepy and need to take a nap, he takes over and keeps us riding. So that's how I get down with it.
Yes.
However you choose to
Mhm.
get down with it and get all the way down. Um, and anybody who is not down with it,
Mhm.
that's okay. You
Right.
still love them, you still visit them on Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. But you trust and believe that your source, God, whatever you want to call it, has got your
Mhm.
back. Don't
Yeah.
make that mistake. Don't make that mistake. Trust God and keep moving.
Oh man, that's good. So let's turn our attention back to the marketing and the sales piece.
Let's go.
What does a new coach need to know from a marketing perspective? How can they begin to market their new service?
Two things: know yourself and know your client.
Okay.
If you don't know who you are as a
Mhm.
leader, if you don't know who you are as a person, if you don't know your character, then you can't show up to be the person that your clients need you to be to help them get from where they are to where they want to be. So you got
Okay.
to know yourself. The second part about knowing your client, you have to know your client so intimately that you know them better than they know themselves. And
Right.
what I mean by that is you have to know the language that they use. You have
Mhm.
to know their fears. You have to know what that they stayed up late last night and got up early this morning trying to figure it all out on their own. You have to know that their current friends and family around them aren't supporting them on their journey.
Mhm.
You have to know that they want to live a lifestyle where they have the time freedom and money freedom. You have to know that they want to support their church and charity. And I'm just, the things that I'm saying to you right now are all the things that I've learned and understood from those who are coaches,
Right.
because that's how well I understand our clients. And so, in order for you to put your marketing message together, you have to know yourself, because when in knowing yourself and in creating that art, that's what's going to allow your clients who are either on the fence or on the
Mhm.
other side of the fence to look and go, that's who I want to ride with right there.
Right.
And if you don't know who you are, you'll never show up and present your art
Mhm.
to the world, and therefore they'll never get to see you.
Right.
And if you don't know who your ideal client is, you'll never be able to communicate their language. And so, to do all of those things, study self, master self, and while simultaneously mastering self, study the people that you want to work with.
Mm.
Do interviews of them, right? Like if you have current clients or people who you believe are your ideal clients,
Mhm.
literally sit down and ask them the questions like, what's keeping you up at night, right?
Right.
What do you deeply desire, right? What do you want? Do you want to take care of your aging family or do you want to take care of a kid? And ask the questions and the wording, the verbiage, verbatim language and verbiage that they give you their responses in is the exact verbiage and language you're going to use in your marketing message. Don't
Mhm.
get fancy.
Okay.
People aren't fancy. I
Right.
promise you. So if you keep it simple, keep it plain
Mhm.
language, no industry jargon, and you show up as who you are, people will start saying, "Hey, I like what you're talking about. We want the same things. I believe that you can solve my problem, and so hey, can you help me?" And
Right.
it's literally that simple. Don't become fancy. Just live your life. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Live your
Right.
life. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about what you like. And the people who, and this is real simple. Just think about
Mhm.
it. You share something on social, like even your show.
Mhm.
You share your show, and the people who engage, those are the people they're identifying. Man, damn, I like that. Like, ooh, I like that a lot. Heart. Ooh,
Yeah.
that touched me. Care. Ooh, that made me angry. Angry emoji.
Mhm.
They're telling you how they feel about what it is that you just shared. They
Right.
comment, engage in the comments, nurture a relationship, take those relationships out of the
Mhm.
comments into the DM. And then once you're in the DM, get them on a Zoom call, ask them intelligent questions, the art of selling,
Yes.
follow your system, the science of selling, and go get paid.
I love that. And one other question surrounding this for new coaches out there is when it comes to their offering, when just starting out, if they want to be profitable, ideally from the start, what would you say is the best offering? Group, one on one? Like, what do you think works best or is the most effective?
It really honestly depends on you and the lifestyle you want to live and the impact that you want to make. And what
Okay.
I mean by that is if you only want to work with a handful of clients who are high net worth individuals, then you say, nope, I'm only going to take on 5 clients and my offer is going to be 10K, 5 or 10K a month. And with 5 clients bringing me 5K a month, that's 25K, or vice versa, that's 50K a month. And I'm happy with just those 5 clients, and I'm making 25, 50K a month, and I'm good.
Right.
Um, if your audience is an audience that can't afford 5K or 10K per month, and you say, okay, but they can afford $1,000 per month, and I want to do, but I want to scale it out, then now I got to figure out a way to now get 25 people to pay me $1,000 a month in order for me, to make my
Mhm.
25K, or obviously 50 to make 50K.
Right.
It really just depends on, what kind of work you're willing to put in or what you want to
Mhm.
put in. It depends on how much, access you want to give people to you. The
Mhm.
biggest thing is, again, it's about how much money you want to make and what lifestyle do you want to live.
Right.
That's how you structure your offer. Um,
Okay.
in terms of, how to make your offer strong,
Mhm.
biggest thing is be bold,
Okay.
right? Like your promise, whatever you're promising, and again, the promise has to be what people want. So you can't just
Right.
want. But if it's something that they want, make your promise bold. Make it stand out. There's another book that I'll recommend to you.
Mhm.
It's called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy, Hormozi. And if you read that book and watch he's got a bunch of free material too on his website, acquisitions.com. But he basically shows you how to structure offers in a way to where people would feel stupid to say no.
Yeah.
And that's the key, right? So make whatever it is that they want, make it a bold promise that you can get them what they want. And the biggest thing is take away as much risk as possible,
Mhm.
meaning, money back guarantee. Uh,
Mhm.
we don't get paid unless you X, take
Mhm.
as much risk away from it as possible. And then promise them, as with anything else in life, Amazon or even streaming, promise them that it's not going to take them long to get it.
Right.
So if
Oh.
you can structure your offers that way, people will say, okay, you're going to help me get the result that I want. The risk of me failing isn't high, and it's
Mhm.
not going to take me a lot of time. Cool. How much is it going to cost me? And as long as you're communicating with the people who can afford you, they'll pull out their card and swipe it.
Right. Now, we know online courses are really popular nowadays. Are you an advocate or are you personally utilizing online courses to leverage or scale your business? Do you feel like that's something that new coaches should do or consider?
Yeah, 100%. Because that's the only way you can really scale yourself. Like
Hmm.
you've taken that knowledge bank and you've put it in some type of repository, online academy, university, etc. And you can't be back to what we were talking about before in regards to serving 25 or 50 customers per month,
Right.
where your academy or your course comes into play, to where when they can't ask you a direct question, or they can't remember exactly what you said on one of your calls, they go into your course or your academy, and they're basically able to go in and get the information from there. You can then, and this is what we do, our
Mhm.
academy is also a standalone product. So for
Mhm.
example, like we've got the Innovative Marketing Academy. And if someone wants to be a part of our services and wants to get support, but they
Mhm.
can't afford the group coaching program, price point, then we say, okay, no problem. We still have something, a product for you that can still get you the result that you want. Of
Right.
course, you don't get as many, benefits out of it that you would if you were in the program that gave you access, but yet I can still make money off of it. Why? Because it's a product that I've created and it's valuable information inside. And if you're running ads, then you can put it, make it evergreen and put it on autopilot. And that course can bring you money consistently, again, back
Yes.
to multiple income streams. And so that's what you want to do, man. Yeah, you want to basically create a course, make sure it's high value, give people an offer that they would feel stupid to say no to. Get it in front of the right people. They'll make their investment. But you got at the end of the day, you got to deliver. If you're not able to deliver on that promise, don't make a dumb promise, because now you're stupid, the one stupid for making the promise and can't fulfill it.
Oh man, yo, Jay, this has been so amazing. Before we transition into one of my favorite segments, I want to, know what's in your goodie bag, right? The goodie bag is the tricks, the tips, the tools, and the resources that have helped you to get where you've gotten, and more importantly, what helped you to do business a lot easier. So, what would you say are some tools or some resources that assist you in your business on a daily?
Well, so depending on where someone is in their business growth journey, if you
Mhm.
are just getting started, then of course, the tools or software is probably going to be, less sophisticated and less expensive. And so you want to make sure that you have a way to capture data. The
Okay.
CIA and terrorist organizations will kill for data. I'm not advocating that you kill anybody, but you do whatever you can
No.
to collect that data. And so, what I mean by data is email addresses, phone numbers, ways to communicate with people, because at some point the social media platform might die. And if you don't have the data, you can't communicate with your audience.
Right.
So, if you're just getting started, of course, the MailChimps are out there, ConvertKits are out there, Drip is another one.
Mhm.
And those are just email marketers that you can go out and use. You can even use chatbots. We've used chatbots here as a company as well. But
Okay.
you want to basically use, and it's ManyChat is the chatbot program that I recommend.
Okay.
Um, if you're, a little bit more, sophisticated, right now, there are multiple platforms out there that allow
Mhm.
you to bring your text messaging, your email marketing, all of your workflows into one platform. And if you're a bit more advanced and you can afford it, I recommend that you do that as fast as possible. Find a software that
Mhm.
allows your entire CRM, building of landing pages, building of membership sites, your calendar, um, your CRM in terms of, your dashboard in terms of how much is in your pipeline, what your sales percentages are. You want to get a software that allows you to do that. The
Mhm.
one that we currently use is called Go High Level, uh,
Okay.
and it saves us so much time, because literally,
Mhm.
whether we're bringing on new team members or bringing on new clients, once someone, like say a new team member signs the electronic agreement, which we
Mhm.
use Sign for electronic agreement signing. Once someone signs that agreement, we get a notification that they signed the agreement. We log into our CRM. We literally like click a toggle that switches them, from out of, in the pipeline to now onboarded, and
Mhm.
automatically go into our onboarding sequence, which gives
Wow.
them some welcome emails, some welcome texts, and access to our training program and some files that they need for homework. Um, and then, of course, it does the same thing for new clients whenever they come on board as well.
Nice. Oh
Yep.
man, that's amazing. And you already gave us some books, so I appreciate that already. Those you dropped on us. Now, one of the things that I find is very important, especially when we want to remain successful, right, is our daily habits. What are some daily habits that you attribute to your success both in life and in business?
Reading, thinking, those two. Not a day is going to go by where I don't spend some time reading something.
Mm,
Um, it could be personal development, marketing, sales. I mean, it can be a comic book, right? It can be
mhm.
something that's a fictional book, just to get your mind creative and exercise your mental muscles.
Right.
Thinking for sure. John Maxwell. I got this one from John Maxwell, where he talks about creating thinking time, uh,
Mm.
and always having a notepad and a pen, whether it's in on your nightstand or
Mhm.
he calls it his thinking chair. And so he's got a table right next to his thinking chair where he's got a notepad and a pen. And any
Okay.
thoughts that come to mind during your thinking time, you
Mhm.
take those and you write them down.
Mhm.
I don't do this daily, and I got to get
Mhm.
better at this one, and that's exercising.
Mhm.
Because physical activity, a body in motion stays in motion. It helps with your mental health, your physical
Right.
health as well. And so, if there are three things that I'm going to say I have to do daily, and again,
Mhm.
got to get better in the exercise component, those would be the three things.
Okay. All right. Yo, Jay, I've enjoyed this so much, man. I want to transition into our fun little segment before we go. It's called Pick Three. The way it typically works is I provide you as the guest with the opportunity to choose a random number between 1 and 16. And then there's going to be a question that's related to whatever number you choose. So whenever you're ready, let me know what your first number is and I give you your question.
All right, doesn't matter. Eight.
Okay, question 8 is if you could own any major company, what would it be and what would you do to make it better?
Oh wow,
So the
that's
world is literally your oyster, man. You can choose any company. You are now the owner, the CEO, the founder, all of that good stuff.
wow. That's a great one. Wow. For me, it would. Ooh, there's so many to choose from, man. It would for me. It would be NBC.
Wow.
It would be NBC.
Why NBC?
Because it controls the narrative of a lot of things. And I think I believe, from my understanding or something that I heard a while back, I believe it's the largest, media outlet in terms of all of its subsequent networks and the viewership
Mm,
collectively.
wow.
The media is very, very powerful in terms of how they can shape the narrative, one about people of color
Mhm.
in a negative way, and then one about not people of non-color in such a positive way. And then I believe that by shaping the narrative in that way, it creates conflict within
Mhm.
everyone, where people of color begin to believe that they're less than or not good enough. And then
Right.
people who are Caucasian and non-colored people are superior. And so, because I understand the power of the media and the influence that the media has on the minds of people, that would be the one that I would take ownership of, and the change that I would make would be the content and material that's published.
I absolutely love that, man. Yo, that's the best answer that I've gotten so far for question 8, man. And it's really one that makes you think how much influence and power you would have, because you could choose all of these other companies and they may give you a lot of profit, but the level of influence that you would have running NBC is unmatched. That's amazing, man. Amazing. So what's your second number between 1 and 16?
Give me three.
3. Oh man, so this is you might have already did this, but we'll see what you have in your pocket.
All
What
right.
is a book that you want to read but you haven't picked up yet?
Ooh, that I want to read, but I haven't picked up yet. That's a good question. Um, uh, yeah, I probably there are probably two books right now that I have on my shelf that I've said I'm going to read, and I have not yet. One is Becoming Michelle Obama,
Okay.
and the other one is Will Smith's book.
Mm,
Um, I just haven't made space and time to sit down
mhm,
and read both of them. I know that they're both one, just from what I've heard about them, they're great books, but I know that
mhm.
they're going to be great stories and great lessons learned from reading both of those books. I
Yes.
just haven't made space and time to sit down and make them a priority. But those will be the two.
Okay, yo, that's good. That's good. And your last question between or your last number between 1 and 16.
Let's go with lucky number 13.
Okay, 13 is, what is a gem that it was shared with you that greatly impacted you or your approach to business, and who shared it with you or where did you learn it?
Mm, a gem.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give you one that I have not given you already.
Okay.
Um, ooh, there's so many. So one,
I could feel you like going through the mental Rolodex.
like there's so many. One would be everybody can go with you. That I
Mm,
got that one from Steve Harvey.
mhm,
When I first heard him say it, of course, because he's a comedian, it came across as a joke, and I laughed.
mhm.
But history and experience has taught me he's 100% correct. And so
Yeah,
that would be the one nugget. Everybody can't go with you. It's painful, but it just is what it is.
right.
And then the second one, I got to give you the second one because
Please.
it won't go away. Um, and it's by Jim Rohn. The
Mm,
major key to your better future is you.
wow. Wow. Man, both of those are some gems for real. Yeah, and they go perfectly with the gems you've been dropping on us all throughout our conversation today, man. Jay, it's always a pleasure and an honor catching up and speaking with you. And before we wrap things up, just want to hand the mic over to you. Are there any questions that you like to ask me personally, or any last or closing words you like to leave our audience with?
Questions to ask you. What book are you currently reading?
Oh man, that's a great question. So, man, I'm usually reading more than one, and I'm trying to remember what's the one. What is that book called? Oh man, hold on, it's right here. I was reading what was that book? Psycho Cybernetics. Have you heard of that book?
Yeah, by Maxwell Maltz.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. So that was the book that I just finished, and I'm pulling that one so I can try to remember the one that I'm reading now. It's a sales book by a guy named Joe Gerard. I think it's How to Sell Anything to Anybody.
gotcha,
Yeah, yeah. So like that's the name. I was trying to go through the mental Rolodex, and I knew if I pick leapfrog off of the book I just finished, that one would help bring it back to me. Yeah, it's called How to Sell Anything to Anybody by a salesman by the name of Joe Gerard.
gotcha. Yeah, so that would be the question that I asked. Any parting words as far as that part? It's you only get one ride down here. There's no reset button. There are no do overs. There's no proof that anybody has ever been to the other side of of life, which is death, and come back. Your time is limited here. Don't waste a second of it talking about anything that doesn't move you forward. Jay mentioned it earlier. Life and death are in the power of your tongue. Therefore, do not misuse your words. Only talk about the things that you want in your life because that is how you create your life. Your thoughts become your words become your actions, and your actions dictate your future.
Wow. That's a perfect way to just drop the mic, man. Definitely got to let the people know, how can they get in contact with you? How can they support you? Anything that you like to share or promote, definitely let them know about it.
Serve, impact, prosper. If you go to any social media platform, anything on Google, serve just like that. Impact, prosper. That's the name of our company. Our values are in our name. We believe servant leadership is the only form of leadership. If you're not taking care of your people, you're not a leader. We believe that God sent us to this spinning blue planet. We don't know where it's spinning to, but it's definitely headed somewhere. But I believe that we were sent here to utilize our gifts and talents to make this place better on our journey. But then I also believe that we all deserve to live prosperously because you were born rich. And when I talk about living prosperously, I'm not only talking about money, but money is very, 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 very important. But I'm also meaning prospering in your relationships, your health, and even in the experiences that you have. So you just find us, serve, impact, prosper across social media or online anywhere. Follow us, connect with us. We got a mission to serve 1 billion leaders. We love for you to be a part of it. Become, whether it's a client or just a leader, a part in supporting the mission that we're on. reach out to us. We got a series of events coming. Our next one is on June 4th here in beautiful Tampa, Florida. We'd love for you to come down and be a part of it with us, or any future event that we're going to be having as we go out here and transform people's lives and businesses.
Oh, man, you guys definitely go show Jay some love and support. And if you are in the Tampa area, you definitely want to go to the event. I promise you, you are going to learn so much from him and the other speakers. And Jay, I just want to thank you, man. It's always an honor and a pleasure connecting with you. And I'm so grateful for you coming on, being a guest on the podcast. If you ever want to come back on, you have an open invitation. Thank you so much for everything that you shared with us today. I truly appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you, Jay. Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thanks for considering me, and you keep doing the great work that you're doing, man. Keep doing it.
Thank you, man. Thank you.